All right, can everyone see that?
Looks great.
Perfect. And then for the panel, if anyone has any questions throughout, feel free to interrupt. The attendees might as well. So yeah, I've spent the last 5 years of my life running, thinking about, innovating in, and executing on e-commerce giveaways. So we're really just going to start. We're going to talk about customer acquisition throughout, but a lot of people don't know what these are or familiar with them. So we'll start off with what is a sweepstakes, right? So it's a promotional contest where participants can enter for a chance to win something. So that something can be a number of things. It can be a really cheap item. People run these for lead generation campaigns. Um, as a little caveat, I'm going to be switching between kind of what giveaways do and what we do at Shared Sweeps. But historically, a lot of people have used small promotions to get lead gen campaigns. Um, in terms of terms, giveaway and sweepstakes are basically the same thing. There are raffles and lotteries. Those are different. Raffles can only be run by nonprofits, and lotteries can only be run by governments. So how do customers enter, right? So it's actions on site. They can do email and SMS sign up. They can do social actions like comment on our posts, subscribe to our channel, comment on our posts. Those are a little bit harder to track. We don't use them on the larger side of things. I'll get into that later why. And then the third one, which we do use primarily, is purchasing. So there's a lot of fun things you can do with that. The baseline rule is every dollar spent is an entry to win. So you can see how that could be an additional benefit or an additional reason for customers to buy. I know a lot of people, like some of the best brands, like when they do a new product release, people go crazy, they buy. That's what everyone wants to get to, but not everybody has that. So brands look at things like discounting or free shipping, things like that. Whereas we think this giveaway incentive is a really unique angle that is actually a really good fight against discounting. Every giveaway needs a free method of entry. It's a legal requirement. Basically, the rules there are when you set up your rules for a giveaway, there needs to be a maximum number of entries that an individual can earn, and they need to be able to get to that limit with the free method of entry. So that's why you see in the disclaimer, no purchase necessary. Purchasing does not increase your chances of winning, and if they do that free method of entry enough, that's correct. The little fun fact, we did them before, but it's not a new concept. There's, dating back to the 1500s, people have been running similar things to this, but in more modern times, the New York Herald ran a cash giveaway in 1835 to drive more subscribers. So it's not a new concept by any stretch. And as I was mentioning before, it's a great way to drive sales without discounting. So if you're a discounting heavy brand, we've seen it time and time again where reduce your discounting, give them a chance to win a life-changing prize, and everyone is happy at the end. Why should you run a sweepstakes? So this isn't in any other order other than I thought it looked cool that these rockets were kind of taking off. But we consistently see improvements in meta performance. It's probably our most consistent metric we see that if you're running meta ads today and you introduce a giveaway, by the end of that campaign, your top 50% of your ads will be about a giveaway, right? And it's not reinventing the wheel. It's take an ad that worked before and add a giveaway element to it. So it's not always super hard. As you can imagine, conversion rate goes up, email and SMS revenue goes up, engagement goes up, lead gen goes up. I'll dig into that now. So one thing that I think is a mistake for most companies is when you're running a giveaway, say like, hey, sign up to our email list and get 5 entries. That brings a lot of people in that aren't interested in your product. They're interested in your prize. And ultimately, that's not what we want, especially with ESPs getting more strict with promotions and spam. One hack that we found there is saying like, instead of sign up for 5 entries, you can say sign up and get 25 entries with purchase, similar to a first time purchase discount. But we see that performance pick up dramatically there, and you're not having to increase your discounting to do it. And there's a lot of cool strategies around increasing AOV as well. So if your AOV is 75, you can say, hey, if you spend 100, you get 200 bonus entries. And we've seen that really increase AOV. It's a good way to incentivize purchasing items without discounting. So one example I think of a lot is apparel brands. I used to work in that industry, and it's like as much as you think XYZ style is going to be the biggest thing next season, and then it's not, these apparel brands are stuck, increasing their discounting until those products are sold because they're just taking up space and costing money at the warehouse. So one strategy that we've seen work really well is creating something like a 5x entries collection. So instead of every dollar spent being 1 entry, every dollar spent could be 5 entries. And that's a collection of products that, could have better margin, ones you're looking to get out to your customers. It could be a new product you're doing or ones that aren't selling as well. But ultimately, a sweepstakes giveaway is just a different motivation for a different set of customers. And when we're talking about customer acquisition, and we'll dig into this a little bit later, but our theory is that with the meta algorithm going broad and then basically saying, hey, give us the ad, we'll figure out where to place it. When you're running a giveaway promotion, a different group of people get interested in it. And so you're actually reaching a new audience that you usually don't through talking about your product and its use case and who you are as a brand. All right, legal, the fun part. So this is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. But if you're running a giveaway, this is a good place to start. So every giveaway needs a free method of entry, regardless of the price. So a lot of people overlook this on the smaller ones. Knock on wood, I've never seen anyone, get in trouble for giving away one of their products, but these are a couple of best practices that you can follow. So if your prize value is less than $5,000, you don't need to register or bond, but you still need to make official rules. And those I mentioned it later, but ChatGPT can be a great tool for that. There's a couple check boxes that you need to make, and things like who's eligible, what is the duration of the giveaway, how do I get entered, all of those things. But if your prize value is over $5,000, you actually need to register and bond that prize in New York and Florida, and that does get very costly. Rule of thumb, it's about 1%, I'm sorry, 10% of your total prize cost. So if you're doing a $100,000 giveaway, it's going to cost you an additional $10,000 to register and bond that in New York and Florida. Um, when promoting a giveaway, you always need to have a disclaimer, which basically is a short version of the rules that people can reference on that marketing document. So we put them on everything. We put them on ads, we put them on emails, we put them on SMS, we put them on the website. If you have an e-commerce business and at the end of the year you say, hey, we did really well and we're going to give one of our, a random person a trip to Mexico, that's not a giveaway. So you don't have to market that. But if you're telling people, hey, someone that buys this year is going to win a trip to Mexico, that is now technically a giveaway and you need to do some stuff about that. Different countries have different rules. So USA, Canada, Mexico are all similar. So if you register in one, you can technically register in all with the same rules. Europe, Australia, New Zealand are all similar, but those two are different. So it's really hard to run a worldwide giveaway because you have to have so many different things for the different countries. So it's better to run those in two different countries. There's two different giveaways. And then there's these group of companies called third-party administrators who are super helpful. There's a number of them. We use a company called National Sweepstakes. They've been phenomenal for us, but ultimately they help you set up the giveaway, they help you set up the rules, and they indemnify you if anything goes wrong. We've never seen it, again, knock on wood. But that's what those companies are there for. It's, the official rules, it's the just making sure that everything's done properly. The one thing I will say is most third-party administrators know nothing about e-commerce and nothing about marketing. So where you miss sometimes is they will give you a perfectly legal set of rules, but they don't include methods of entry that help you optimize the giveaway and make it fun for the consumers throughout the campaign. What should you give away? So this is actually like it might seem obvious, it might not, but the prize is the most important element of this whole thing. If you pick the wrong prize, you're not going to get any performance out of it. If you pick the right prize, it's just going to go crazy. So what we found is that $100,000 is the sweet spot. Anything more than that seems to be diminishing returns. Anything less than that, like even 50,000, people go, oh, I got taxed and I got this. How much have I actually left with? So we at Shared Sweeps run $100,000 giveaways. That's the reason for that. Getting back to what you should give away, what speaks to your audience, right? So if you have a niche brand, you actually have a really big opportunity to have a niche prize that speaks to your audience in a big way. So if you're a golf brand, for example, instead of saying like, hey, win a car, you could say, hey, we're going to fly you and 3 buddies out to Vegas first class. We're going to put you up a suite at the Wynn. We've got these 4 rounds of golf at these pre-picked out courses. We're going to send you around in a black car and $35,000 in cash. Works tremendously for a golf brand, not so much for a fashion brand. A fashion brand might want to say, hey, we're going to send, you and your partner or you and your friends to Paris for a shopping spree. That would work really well. We've seen, Disneyland and SUVs work really well for a kids brand because it relates to where they're at in life. The parents of the kids that are getting purchased for. And if you have a broad audience, it's not the end of the world. You can do things like cars, you can do things like cash. But with cash, it's really important to talk about how it would actually affect their life. So it's not just, hey, win $100,000 in cash. It's, if you won $100,000 in cash, what would you do? Would you take that dream vacation? Would you pay off the loans? Would you buy your first house, et cetera, et cetera? So what you should give away is super important. Within the ads, this is actually kind of a little theory I have. It's like, yes, giveaways work well on their own, but they also give you an opportunity for hacking thumb stop. So, like the way I look at it is you're paying Meta CPM no matter what. But if the beginning of your video is someone holding up a briefcase full of cash, people are going to stop and hear what you have to say. So it buys you that, 3, 5, 10 seconds to get your value proposition out. And that's just an added benefit. So if you gamify a site and show off a giveaway, your metrics go up. But if you layer on top of that all these ads that people are actually engaging with, you're going to have much better performance. Um, Okay, so shared sweeps. So I worked for a company for Gas Monkey for about 5 years. We 20x'd our revenue by doing these giveaways. It's an automotive lifestyle brand, so we gave away cars and it worked out tremendously well. Got really involved in the e-commerce space, met a bunch of people who thought that this giveaway marketing initiative was interesting. So I showed a bunch of people how to do it and no one did it. So I thought that was really interesting. So I followed up with a bunch of them and ultimately there was two reasons that they didn't run a sweepstakes. Number one is their CFO said no to $100,000, which at a glance seems reasonable, but these perform very well. So it's actually not as big of a concern as it should be. But number two is the legal. So they looked into the legal, they didn't understand it. Maybe they picked a third-party administrator that didn't do a good job explaining it. But ultimately, from that, we realized that there was an opportunity in the market to help e-commerce brands run giveaways. So that's what shared sweeps is. So a traditional giveaway, the brand sponsors it, they set up the legal, it takes months to plan, they're responsible for all costs, the grand prize, the marketing, the registration, the legal, the bonding. They pick their own prize, just like they would in a shared sweeps. You have to modify your own site to show the entries. It's usually not something people are comfortable with because it's not something you do every day on the e-commerce side. You put together your own strategy, and then at the end, you should be using a third-party administrator to pick that winner so it doesn't look like you picked your own winner. Shared sweeps is different. So shared sweeps, we work with a number of companies for each promotion. So brands can, join in whenever they want. They can leave whenever they want. The $100,000 is paid for by us, not the brand. We charge a percentage of revenue for them to be able to participate into that. Since we already have the giveaway planned, it only takes a few weeks to launch versus a few months. We do the modification of showing entries on site just because we've gotten so good at it. And I think the most important part is we help with strategy, right? So it's like every brand is looking to accomplish something different, and we can help you figure out what levers to pull within the giveaway to come up with that strategy to come up with your outcome. So it's a shared sweepstakes. The data is not shared. You keep all your data. We don't do anything with your data either. The marketing isn't shared. You market it on your own, just like you would a traditional campaign, but there's a shared winner across the brand. So ultimately, everyone's marketing a $100,000 sweepstakes. You're coming up with your own version of it that speaks to your audience, and you're basically enabling your customers to win. What we found is that I would say 99% of our brands wouldn't be running giveaways if it wasn't for us. So we're, enabling people to win these prizes. And to date, we've given away $600,000 worth of prizes to 6 different people. So that part's pretty cool. What does it look like? So we did a promotion with Caraway Home. Excuse me. This is their pop-up. So right away you're saying, hey, we're doing a $100,000 dream kitchen sweepstakes. Every dollar you spend is an entry to win. Sign up for 500 bonus entries. Lead gen was through the roof on this campaign. You go to their homepage, you get to see, okay, $100,000, kitchen sweepstakes. Awesome. I'm going to go down and shop now. So right from the get, they've had 2 touch points, knowing that there's a giveaway and how to enter. This is when I say gamifying the site, this is what I was referring to. So you see here 1x entries. So every dollar spent is an entry to win. We can modify those. What Caraway did was every week they would change what collection got more entries. So it was really fun and engaging for the customers. They're kind of sitting around hoping that the thing they wanted to buy would get that 2x bump. They had an AOV trigger, so not an AOV trigger, but an order value trigger. So, spend 475, get 500 entries. Spend 775, get 1500. Spend, I can't read it. My eyesight's going 975 and get 3000. So they were able to, they're going after an AOV bump there by showing people similar to a free shipping bar, but the more you spend, the more entries you get, which is great. Email, like I mentioned before, email and SMS works really great for this. This is where they were telling people like, hey, this is the new 2X collection. But yeah, they had a phenomenal campaign. They allowed us to share this, but their top line for the month they ran with us was up 61%. Their bottom line was up 90%. Their lead gen was through the roof, and they were able to scale Meta at a 45% clip without affecting their CAC, which was awesome. So Anyway, if you want to take a little screenshot of that, and honestly, whether you want to work with us through shared sweeps or just talk giveaways, like we love giveaways so much, we're just happy to chat with anyone. So that's my spiel.